Hey guys, Angie here. Thanks for joining the first episode of my new web series, which has no name as of yet. A lot of you know I've been wanting to do this for a while. I used to have the opportunity to interview comedians, musicians, so many interesting people. And I kind of stopped doing that for a few years and I miss it terribly. So we're doing this to bring back some of that joy and share with you some of the great people that are doing great things that you may or may not know. So today, for our first episode, we are going to be joined by Lee Demarbre. He's a brilliant Canadian cult horror director, amongst many other things. If you're not familiar with his work, you hopefully will be after today. I know I had a blast with it, so I know you will too. We'll get to hear what he's up to in just a moment. I wanted to give a quick shout out to my buddy John Hill, who designed this fantastic t-shirt from The Craft. He has some amazing designs on his website. It's teepublic.com. That's T-E-E public.com/user/John N-E Hill. That's John with an H. Lots of good designs. I have another one of his shirts. It's a Sleepaway Camp t-shirt that I simply adore. So get on that, get your own. He's got lots of cool stuff there. And what do you say we get on with the chat? All right. So
the background.
Lee Demarbre, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Did I butcher it? I hope not.
Not at all. No, that was perfect. That was perfect the way you said it.
My high school French pays off.
Oh, very good. I'm at the Mayfair Theatre here in Ottawa. It's a cinema, built in 1932, and there's a band playing in the other room. Can
that's
you hear
awesome.
that?
I can.
Does it bother you at all?
Doesn't bother me. Actually, I was just talking to friends the other day about how much I miss live shows. So
yeah,
that actually.
Well, they're doing. Dad, they're doing a virtual concert, and we're letting him use the Mayfair for it. So.
Very cool. Yeah, I was going to ask you about Mayfair.
They're pretty loud. Anyway, okay. I'm happy to see it. Oh, that's a John Hill t-shirt you're wearing.
It is. It is. I love his t-shirts. They're awesome. They're my new favorite. So I have to say, sorry. I watched Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter the other day. Oh my God, was it a blast. It was an absolute blast.
Were you drunk?
I might have been a little high.
Okay, good. Okay, good. In 2005, 2006, I went to Mexico to make a movie, The Dead Sleep Easy, and it was financed by a Toronto film producer. And the week before we left, he watched Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. And I was like, oh no, and he hated it. And he called the producer and said, you can't let Lee go to Mexico and make that movie because Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter looks like it was shot in his backyard in his basement. I got on the phone with the producer and I said, the investor, and I said, were you by yourself when you watched it? And he goes, yes. I said, were you sober? And he said, yes. So you invite your friends over, get drunk, watch it again. And a week later, we were in Mexico making that movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very unique and I gotta say, a lot of fun. So you have something new in the works.
Glad you like it. Yes, I'm making a drag queen martial arts epic called Enter the Drag Dragon, which is a play on the Bruce Lee movie.
So tell me a little bit about that, if you can, at this point.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's my 8th feature film. And I wanted to make something in the vein of, it feels like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter. It feels like Harry Knuckles. It feels like, a fun adventure. And I instead of Jesus Christ on a fun adventure, it's this awesome drag queen named Crunch. And there's lots of martial arts and zombies and mummies and blood and guts and dicks. And it's really obscene. It's really obscene.
Sounds like it's going to be great.
Having a lot of fun making this movie during 2 pivotal things that happened. One being COVID. We're making this film during the COVID pandemic. I've shut down recently during the second wave, but we're hoping to get back into production late winter and finish early summer. And also, my mother passed while making this film,
I'm so
and I appreciate that. But she got leukemia, and she had a year. By the time she found out she had leukemia, she had a year. While she waited to pass, and I spent all my free time with her, and made this movie. Tried to shoot sometimes, but spent most time with my mom, and had a really nice time with it was a great year, actually. Even though the poor girl was dying, we had a really nice time together. And I got back to the movie, and so it's kind of this drag queen martial arts comedy is sort of become kind of personal for this Caucasian straight man living in Canada.
It sounds like it. So I also watched Smash Cut. Now, not only did you get Dave Hess, but Michael Berryman. It's like
Michael Berryman, yes, that movie. Yeah,
that movie kind of blew my mind.
Original.
I'm still a little confused by it, but it was a lot of fun.
I'm really happy with how that movie turned out. I'm really happy. It was one of the best times of my life, spending 30 days making that movie with David Hess. I mean, we literally slept together making that movie.
That's great. That's great. Now, is he as intimidating?
And it was a dream come true. And I'm really happy. I watched it again recently. I'm really happy how it turned out. I guess it got marketed the wrong way, It got marketed. Pardon me?
Oh.
Can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I need you to repeat that because I lost you for a second.
Hold on. Give me a minute.
Okay.
It's funny. Give me a minute.
I feel like I should have technical difficulties scrolling across the screen. Did we lose you? This is where I wish I had some neat parlor tricks.
There.
Hey, there we go.
I was on the wrong Wi-Fi that whole time. I love talking about Smash Cut. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
Well, you were telling me about working on that film and working with David Hess.
Oh, you paused on me. I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay. I tend to talk over people, and I think that's causing a huge problem.
I think Zoom altogether.
So, who would you say is like your white whale in terms of working together?
White whale? What's that mean?
Oh, you're Moby Dick. You know, that one person that you really want to work with.
Wow, I love that question. That's the best question I've ever got. Wow. Jeez, that's a good question. Huh. Well, for a while it was Sasha Grey. Jeez, that's a really good question. I tried to make this film in Jamaica with Fred Williamson. I spent a lot of time with Fred Williamson, and we never got to make that movie. That was hard. I tried to make a film. I was putting together a movie with Jackie Chan. I guess Jackie Chan, Jackie Chan's my favorite entertainer in the world. People often ask me, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, geez, it changes day by day, but I can easily say my favorite entertainer in the world is Jackie Chan. So maybe that white whale is Jackie Chan. and I got pretty close to working with him once. Huh. But what a heavy question. I'm not going to sleep tonight thinking about that question. Oh, a white whale. Yeah.
Well, if you got that close to Jackie Chan, it could happen.
Yeah, I did. It was really exciting. I met Brad Allen in Toronto. Brad Allen is the Jackie Chan stunt team leader, and he has since worked on Avatar. He did all the stunts and action for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Kick-Ass. He did Solo, the last Star Wars film released in theaters, which I thought the second unit direction of that movie is fantastic, which he directed. And I was developing a movie for Brad that Brad really liked. We were going to remake a Harold Lloyd movie. And Jackie Chan and Brad obviously are best of friends. And Jackie agreed to make an appearance in the movie. And he come on as an executive producer along with Edgar Wright and Guillermo del Toro. It was
wow.
I think the movies I didn't make are more interesting than the movies I made.
But those must make for some great memories, though.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. At the time, it was heartbreaking. When I didn't make that movie in Jamaica with Fred Williamson, my heart was crushed. I was embarrassed to be seen in public. I still have so many postcards from the movie that and I went out and shot stuff, and I worked with this amazing stunt choreographer. Never happened, and it took years to get over it. But now it's like, whew, yeah. The movies I made 2 movies in Mexico. One of which, there's murderers in that movie. The guns were on set. People died. People were killed while we were making that movie. It was scary. That was 25 days in Mexico. It was terrifying. I thought I was going to die.
I can imagine.
Now the memories are amazing. I love watching that movie and pointing to people and saying, that guy's in jail. That guy's dead. That guy killed him, buried him in the desert. I can't tell you who all these people are in real life, but that movie, The Dead Sleep Easy, is next to snuff. It's not snuff, but I could tell you things about that movie off camera that
Wow. Now, you started Odessa Filmworks.
Mm-hmm. 96.
What's that?
I started in 1996.
And tell me a little bit about that. How did you, what drove you to create this?
It's a very cool. It's funny. The story goes, so I was in high school. I moved to Ottawa in 1986, and I got a job. I was 14. By the time I was 16, I have my own video camera. And I worked my dad got me a job in this Chinese restaurant in Ottawa. And the Chinese restaurant was run by the Italian mob. They used to run hookers and I used to clean the dishes. I was really young and scared, and we'd run hookers. And I couldn't wait to quit. At one point, the cook, Mr. Hum, got into a fight with Mr. Moon, and he cut his fingers off with a machete, with a cleaver. And they asked me to take over and replace Mr. Moon, because his fingers got cut off. I couldn't wait to quit. I couldn't wait to afford my camera and quit. So I got my video camera. This is like 1987, 1988. I was going to high school, and I had a video camera, a really nice camera. The school didn't have a video camera.
Yeah. And
so I was shooting all the time on the weekends with my friends, making short films. And I wasn't good in school. I wasn't good writing, but particularly I wasn't good at reading. And I was really stressed out about having to write tests and do essays. And so every time I got a project, I had asked the teacher, can I make a video instead and present it to the class? So I'd have to bring in my own VCR. I'm not talking, this is not 10 years ago. This is in the late 80s. And so
I remember, yeah.
I was showing my videos to my class, and it was they loved them. It was really exciting. We got to watch a movie instead of the class loved it as much as I did. And I worked at a video store called West Coast Video, and you know VHS. I don't know if you're familiar with VHS tapes, but you can crack the tab off them.
Oh yes.
Crack the tab when you rent a new movie. The tab's cracked off. You can't tape on it, right? But
didn't you add some of your shorts?
Yeah.
To some of these movies.
Yeah, I put tape over the tab, and then so if I was at school and I wanted to tell people to watch my new movie, I'd say like, go rent Lethal Weapon 2, and fast forward after the credits, you'll see our short film. And that's how I distributed my movies back then.
That is genius.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's like MacGyver level genius right there.
But there was something about shooting on VHS, because shooting on VHS tapes, I didn't get why my movies didn't look like theatrical presentations. I understand I didn't have the budget, I didn't have the movie stars, but what was it exactly visually that what didn't look good to me? And then I discovered the magic of 16 millimeter film, and I realized it was celluloid. The difference is that back then, standard definition video was far from the quality of even 8 millimeter, 16, 35 millimeter. So it was a celluloid thing. And I was taking film studies at Carleton University here in Ottawa. Spent 4 years doing that. Got my graduate in film studies. Never picked up a camera. I just studied cinema, the art house, international, Canadian cinema. Canadian cinema seems like foreign film. I was very familiar with Hollywood movies, but I wasn't so familiar with movies from around the world. And so I fell in love with a filmmaker from Ottawa named Frank Cole. Where are you in the world? Where are you calling me from? Right?
I'm in Boston.
Oh my God. I hope you're feeling safe.
I am.
Us Canadians are worried so much for you guys. I see red.
I gotta say, in my state alone, they were like, no way, Trump. He lost by a landslide.
Good. I'm paying attention. I'm watching what's going to happen. But most of all, I'm just glad to see people in the United States are feeling safe, because it doesn't. If you watch TV, no one seems safe in the United States.
I stick to horror movies. It's the best way to do it.
Right. Wow. That's really infectious.
It is.
Just looking at the room, like why would you leave that room?
Know what?
Sorry, is that the head from The Crate? From Creepshow?
That is Tarman from Return of the Living Dead.
We're showing that Saturday night at the Mayfair.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't have my posters in the other room. I thought it was the guy from Creepshow. Yeah, Return of the Living Dead. I remember. I love that movie, but there was a time where I thought it was too much like it was like airplane is to airport, like what George A. Romero did. And I was on the set of Land of the Dead, and George expressed his hatred for people dressed as zombies walking around saying brains. And he was like, that's not my movie.
Yeah, his zombies never ate brains. They just ate people in general.
Yeah. Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you read the book? Why is his name escaping me right now? John Russo. His book, Return of the Living Dead. Yeah. It's very different.
Yeah. If you asked me, did I read his book? Can I do a video on it instead?
You could, but I don't think it'd be as enjoyable as the Return of the Living Dead movie. It's a good book, though.
Yeah, I met John Russo I introduced him to my son at the Monroeville Mall. I met him at the Monroeville Mall with my son. George Romero had just passed away. My son and I went and bought flowers, and we're laying it in the mall at this place where people were doing that, a memorial place. I couldn't believe I was there with my son. I was so happy. My son was very young, and the news filmed him and talked to him after the Monroeville local taste station. It was thrilling. It was better than being a zombie in a George A. Romero movie in a way, My son got to meet him. His last autograph session was in Ottawa just before he passed, and my son got to meet him there. And I thought, what were we talking about? We were talking about how I got into the film. So Frank Cole's an Ottawa filmmaker, and he was shooting everything on 16 millimeter, and they presented his movies in Ottawa. And I kept looking at the projector and the light, and falling in love with celluloid. So I took a course in shooting on film, and within 2 weeks of finishing that course, I was shooting my first short film, Harry Knuckles, on 16 millimeter. And by the way, I would make my next 4 films on so Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter was shot on a little camera, not much bigger than my phone, bigger, thicker. But a wind up.
Yeah.
That was all shot on a wind up, and when you wind it and you ran the film, it was really loud. So that's why we didn't record any sound, and we did it all post looped, and so I spent I spent $45,000 making that movie, 12,000 on a net cut and 10,000 on sound mix and putting it all together. And at the end, the transfer of the film, 16 millimeter film to VHS, I only had $200 left. So I'm like, oh, I only have $200. So he made a really shitty transfer. And that's what the world has seen. Everyone has seen this lousy, shitty $200 VHS transfer. So finally, there's a Blu-ray out of it now. And I think it's on Amazon Prime in HD.
It is.
But for years, people watch this. That's why the producer in Mexico, the investor in Mexico, thought I should be making movies in Mexico.
But yeah, adding the audio on top of the video was so effective because you got that old 70s feel to it of like the old kung fu movies.
And our new movie, we're shooting sync sound, and I'm thinking, I should probably post dub it. You know, I got to know Fred Williamson very well. I don't know if you're familiar with the actor Fred Williamson. He was a football star, and he made some of my favorite action films. He told me that he made many films in Italy, and he was the one who brought sync sound cinema to the Italian production team. And I said to him, "Oh, you're the guy who ruined Italian cinema," because once those filmmakers started shooting sync sound, they weren't concentrating on the visuals anymore. They were concentrating on this. Where's the boom pole? And so, Fulci, Argento, all of them. As soon as they started making sync sound, it was done.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think about even movies like Demons. Great. It really.
Yeah, he too. He drove him in there. I mean, I love these guys, but because look, the Hong Kong filmmakers were like that too. In the '80s, they weren't shooting with a boom pole and sound. They were just filming, bam, bam, bam. They put the camera, they move really fast, and you have this visual flair that's unmatched. And now it's like, you have to use a slate, roll camera, roll sound, action, tail slate. It slows everything down. I hate. I'm cutting my movie, so I don't use. I can sync everything myself. I was there, but I hate clapperboards. I don't know why they use them for digital cinema. They do.
I tell you, I'm a photographer, and it reminds me of I think that's why I love films like that, because it's so focused on the visual.
Yes. I mean, I'm always with my kids. I'll always say to them, "Look, watch what the camera's doing." It's not about. Pay attention to the characters, the story, and all that stuff. But I'll rewind a scene. It's like, watch what the camera. Where's the camera placement? It creates like a penmanship to a certain film. Like, you can watch a Quentin Tarantino movie and know he directed it. You can watch a Romero movie and know he directed it. The filmmakers have a penmanship, like a fingerprint, and it's what they do with the camera. Like I'm watching a lot of old movies on TCM right now, Turner Classic Movies, and a lot of times old movies, the cameras are so big, camera points at the actors, and that's it.
Yeah.
But then you have Nicholas Ray, and you have Stanley Kramer, and you have Alfred Hitchcock, who were doing things. They were moving the camera just so slightly. And it gives me chills to see that in old movies. It's like, oh my God, style is being born.
Love it.
Yeah, I love
One thing I love about you is that you're just as excited as I am about like inspiring other people to create.
Oh,
and I love that.
When I joined a co-op in Ottawa, a filmmakers co-op, and when I joined, I had no equipment. I was renting the cameras and I was renting the Steenbeck. You know what a Steenbeck is?
I think so.
It's like a moviola. You sit down at it and you edit your movies. And I rented, the lights. And then the more movies I made, I acquired my own camera and I bought my own Steenbeck. And I didn't need the film co-op anymore. I said to them, I was like, the only thing I need out of you is a community, a film community. I want to be around filmmakers that, sometimes when I talk to filmmakers who are making movies, when I'm not making movies, it's a kick in the ass to go make a movie.
Yeah.
That's what I need sometimes. It's nice being around filmmakers and being inspired, going on set. I didn't make a movie for 10, this is my first, between my 7th and 8th film, it's 10-year span. I started cinema and I took a break. I took a break for a good reason, but I helped a guy edit a movie, his feature film. And that was what gave me a kick in the pants to start this one. It's like, I'm around filmmakers again. It's really, it's better than drugs or alcohol.
Exactly. I mean, like with me interviewing you, I mean, I used to interview in the stand-up industry, music, sometimes horror movies. And I stopped after losing my dad. It felt wrong to laugh.
Right.
He
Yeah,
passed.
I know that
Yeah,
feeling.
I'm sure you understand. But I miss it. I miss those connections and talking
Yeah.
and really picking brains of creative people.
Well, it's like everything in your room right now. Like I'm distracted by Freddy Krueger most of all. There's so much Freddy, and I see a Leatherface behind. But all that stuff to me, like that's what my house looks like.
Nice.
And my wife doesn't understand it. And I found this video. You know, Guillermo del Toro has his house. He keeps his collection in a separate house. He's got a house just for his man toys.
Oh, wow.
And he articulates himself very well, even though English is not his first language.
Yeah.
He says that being around all these toys inspires. So this is where I do all my writing and my editing, and I bring writers in, and I want them to feel the inspiration. And so, you know, seeing all this reminds me of my basement. I love being surrounded by it, and I'm trying to convince my wife why I have all these stupid things. Sent her the link to the video. Excuse me, I don't think she understood. But to me, all that stuff, all that passion that's in your room, that's very creative, and that you know that makes you want to stay up all night and make movies, or at least watch movies. Watching movies is as fun as making movies sometimes.
Yeah, I found this room is for me very inspiring. I mean, it serves as a digital dark room. I've gotten into astrophotography lately. That was just something I never did before, and
that's great.
It's fun being up here. It's my little girl cave. My husband loves it, which is awesome. He fully supports it.
This is usually something where men have to fight to keep, and then the woman wants to get rid of. What is this flag be? What's Jack Boy? What I don't.
Oh, this is actually a curtain. It's from The Shining. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy.
I'll never forget watching that movie for the first time with my son, because by the time the woman got out of the bathtub naked, he started crying. He was very young. He asked his mom to take him to bed, and I was thrilled I was saddened a little bit, but thrilled. Like, that's going to be the memory he'll have for this movie forever. So anytime The Shining comes out, like we went to see Ready Player One in the theater, and there's a scene from The Shining in the movie, and we all just slow pan to my son to see the look on his face. And my wife didn't realize he had finished the movie, and he's not scared by it anymore, but he was like, yeah, this is fine, leave me alone. I think of The Shining, I think of my poor boy crying. My kids won't watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They're too afraid to watch it. And I keep telling them again, the camera work is so beautiful in that movie. That movie was shot on 16 millimeter.
Yep.
And that inspired. I love finding out movies are shot on 16 because it makes me think you can do anything. Because shooting on 16 millimeter, you can just go buy a camera and make your own Hollywood. You can make your own Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Evil Dead was shot on 16 millimeter, and they're still shooting movies on 16 millimeter.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really exciting, and the scan now is gorgeous. You can scan. You can do a 2K scan of the 16 millimeter film elements, and it can look really, really great. I'm not sure if they can do a 4K scan yet. Maybe they can. I don't know if is there a 4K Evil Dead. I don't know if there is yet, but
I think it's coming.
Yeah, 4K.
I think so.
If they can skip. I love watching all those Blu-rays about the restoration process.
Yeah.
When old movies aren't old anymore.
No.
If you get around black and white, they're scanning these old movies and at 4K, but the 35 millimeter movies that were shot 115 years ago, it has the resolution of 6K.
Yeah.
So they're going back to these original film elements, and black and white movies aren't black. They're not dark grays and light grays anymore. The contrast is so beautiful. And old movies on TCM aren't old anymore. They look like they were shot yesterday. Aside from the fact that they're on black and white, and everyone's smoking cigarettes. But I've discovered an old movie. My favorite thing about this lockdown is discovering old movies.
Me too.
What have you watched lately?
I actually did a really fun thing. I challenged myself to watch every single 80s horror movie as listed on Wikipedia by year.
Wow. How far are you in this list?
Oh, I finished.
No.
I did.
Hey.
It did not take as long as I expected it to.
The 80s horror movie?
Yeah.
My mother took me to see House in the theater when I was 12.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I remember it was rated R, and she snuck me in. And I was making a horror movie on the big screen, and I still love that movie. It's like it's a fun movie to recommend. Like if you like Evil Dead, it's like a comedy that's funny too. And I used to work at a video store, and I like recommending movies.
Yeah.
My favorite film to recommend, my favorite story, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
I went to New York City in high school, and my boss gave me some money to bring back some cool movies. So I went to Kim's Underground. And this is back in the day with VHS or Laserdisc. And I did buy some Laserdisc, but I found Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer on VHS. And I was dying to see this movie. And I spent, like, VHS back then $100 was the average price.
Yeah.
And about $80 on it. And that was cheap back then. So I brought it back, and I said to my boss, it's like, well, I got to get this on the shelf. I can't wait to start recommending it. And he looked at the box and he said, Lee, wait, I'm going to watch this first. Let me watch it so I know what I'm putting on my shelf. And he was so disturbed by it. He said, Lee, we cannot put this on the shelf. It's just awful. It's like sniff. We can't, people are going to hate us. And I was begging him, and he said, okay, this is what we're going to do, Lee. And he took the tape out of the box, and he put it in a brown paper bag. He put it underneath the cash, and he said, if you want to recommend it to your friends, go ahead. But I'm not putting the box on the shelf for people to see. So it became one of his biggest rentals ever, moneymakers, because people were driving. I met people who drove an hour to our video store because they heard we keep a horror film in a brown paper bag behind the cash that the owner doesn't want on the shelf because it's so disgusting. And everyone loved it. Everyone flipped out watching Henry back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
It was thrilling. So I showed my daughter that on her birthday recently. She wanted to watch something extreme. And it was so fun to tell that story. Like, I feel like a real kinship to Henry. And I remember too, after Henry, every time I saw Michael Rooker in a movie, I was like, oh, it's Henry. like a cliffhanger. There's Henry.
I love that movie. God, I have to give that a rewatch now. I really do.
On the big screen, you can see the women who are playing dead in the ditches. You can see their chest heaving a bit because they're trying to hold their breath, but it doesn't ruin the movie because the shots are so nice. So John McNaughton, the director is John. He went on to do Wild Things, I think. Wild Thing.
Yes.
Which I liked. I wish he was still making movies.
I know.
Never saw Henry 2. Never watched it. That's sad.
Now I'm going to.
I like watching sequels to movies too, but no matter what, I have to watch a sequel to something I like just to see.
Yeah.
But I never got through Henry 2. What's it called? Henry 2, right? It's not called Henry 2 something.
No, I think it's just Henry 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Electric Boogaloo or something. I don't know.
If it was called that, I would watch it. I like those films. I like Cannon quite a bit.
Well, it's awesome news to hear that you're working on a new film. Even if we do have a little bit to wait, but I think that's something we've all gotten good at lately.
I've been telling the actors who are hungry to get this movie out there, I said, you don't want to release the movie right now. Yeah, I'm so glad it's not finished because the Mayfair Theater is opening this Saturday. We're reopening this Saturday, but we can only have 50 people in the theater.
Yeah.
I want to fill the people with 500 people, not 50.
Exactly.
Show it. I want everyone to come, be excited to be in theaters again, pack the place, feel really safe. This is not the time for 50 people at a premiere of your own movie.
Definitely.
I have no producers involved, no investors. I'm spending all my own money on this film. It's just like Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter in that regard. It's a really fun one. I'm excited to get it out, but not that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. It sounds like a blast.
I hope you get to see it. I hope it's on. What's the next streaming service in the future? Netflix too. Electric Boogaloo.
I love it. Sign me up. Well, listen, Lee, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Oh, thanks
I really appreciate it.
Fun.
And I wish you well and your family well.
I wish you all the safety that you can muster down there in Boston.
Thank you. And if my head is in the sand, it's because election results went south.
I'm so worried for you guys. I want the right guy to win, or I want Kamala Harris to win more than anything.
I know, right?
She makes
One
me-
more day and we might know. Might. But we'll see.
Okay, well, it was really, really wonderful talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you so much. Take care, Lee.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.